Yo, what's up guys? You got II here today once again, and today we are bringing you the Hive Beedrill Season 3 Draft Analysis. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy II is in the Hive, and yeah, he drafted a very interesting team, well, in my opinion. And yeah, maybe describing why I picked what I picked and other things like that. So yeah, the first mon I decided to choose was the one and only Mega Kangaskhan. Now, Mega Kangaskhan is it's a mon I've wanted to try out for a while. You know, it's banned in a lot of leagues I'm in, and you know, I feel as though it can do something, and I want to make sure that I do it justice. So I chose this one because one, I haven't used it before, and two, its base stats and ability make it an incredible physical threat. So over here you can see it has 105 HP, 125 attack, and then decent stats all around in like defense, special defense, and speed. Only bad part is its special attack, which I don't see myself using too often, but who knows, maybe I'll come up with something interesting one week. But yeah, you got Pam here, and Mega Kangaskhan can do so many things. One, it has Power Up Punch. Two, it has Seismic Toss, but unfortunately that is banned, so I won't be able to use that. It just gets a lot of cool moves like, I don't know, Fake Out, Facade, Earthquake, Drain Punch. It's a normal type, so it has a bunch of different coverage moves. And yeah, I don't know, I've really wanted to use it for a while, and I got my chance this season, and hopefully I can do it justice. So next, I was like, okay, what do I want that's compatible with Mega Kangaskhan and can act as a sweeper, but also act as a wall for fighting types? So I decided to go with my boy Necrozma Daryl over here. And like Kangaskhan, it has decent stats all around: 97 HP, 107 attack, 101 defense, 127 special attack, etc., etc. So this thing has a very interesting ability, for those of you who don't know, Prison Armor, which receives 3/4 damage from super effective attacks. So things like Knockoff and, I don't know, Shadow Ball maybe, would be doing a considerable amount of damage less than they normally would. And Necrozma here, it got a nice buff for Ultra Sun and Moon. Now it gets access to Heat Wave, gets access to Earth Power, and of course you can't forget Photon Geyser. It's a really good mon this gen, and I definitely wanted a chance to try out some new sets with it. You know, it gets Knockoff now even. It just gets so many different new moves that add to its viability through different coverage, even Dragon Pulse too, although I'm not sure how often I'd use that. But yeah, I felt like Necrozma and Mega Kangaskhan would actually be a decent pair to, you know, help each other out, get some sweeps going on. And yeah, so that's pretty much why I chose Necrozma. Hopefully I don't regret it, which I doubt I will. Like I said, this thing's a beast. It's a monster in draft format, and I'm hoping to also, you know, put it to good use. So the next one I was like, alright, so I have Mega Kangaskhan, I have Necrozma, I want something that can help these two, but also, you know, sweep if need be, right? So I decided on TapaBOO. We got Oscar over here, and Bulu is an interesting pick. I haven't used it in draft format before, I don't think I have, but Grassy Surge basically plants the grassy terrain, which basically heals every mon grounded with leftovers. So I was like, alright, this thing could definitely help out Mega Kangaskhan for recovery, as well as Necrozma. Also weakens ground types for me, but ground type moves such as Earthquake. But I wasn't too concerned about this at that point, because as you can see, none of these 2 or 3 mons are weak to ground. But I figured TapaBOO would be helpful because A, it can set up, B, it sets up basically leftovers for everything on my team that's grounded, and yeah, it even gets access to things like Nature's Madness. It can be run special, although I'm not sure how often I do that. Like the other past 2 picks, it also has decent stats pretty much all around, besides its HP. Gets 130 attack, 115 defense, 85 special attack, and 95 defense. Overall, I feel like TapaBOO can just do a ton of work. Obviously, if you're looking at these three, you can see there's like a common theme, and that kind of gets walled by tough physical defensive threats such as Skarmory maybe, assuming I'd run Necrozma like physical, but it just, I don't know, I felt like I needed something to benefit these two over here, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much why I chose Bulu, Oscar. The next one I was like, alright, so I have Mega-Kangaskhan, I have Necrozma, I have Bulu. Gives me decent recovery, as I said repeatedly for those grounded. I was like, let's think of something that everyone hates to face, has a chance to set up pretty much every game, can do different things like Will-O-Wisp, Woodhammer, all that kind of thing. I was like, let's think of something that, you know, people hate to see, and that I can bring pretty much every game. So I was like, alright, Mimikyu, Toby, you're here, you're now, and let's see what we can do. So I chose Mimikyu for a couple of reasons. This should be male. A, it basically has a free substitute. B, it gets nice setup in Swords Dance. And C, its speed tier is not that bad, as well as, surprisingly, its special defense. 105 special defense, which isn't bad at all. 96 speed. Second fastest on my team other than Mega-Kangaskhan, but definitely not bad. It helps with my speed tier, and yeah, I figured Mimikyu could pretty much always do something, and I wanted that sort of filler mon that could always come if I needed it to, and could help me get a kill if something, I don't know, sets up too much. Like, let's say like Mega Charizard X. I would have nothing of these three to stop that at this point, but Mimikyu could come in after and pick up a kill versus it. So yeah, that's pretty much why I drafted Mimikyu. Don't regret it at all. Hopefully I won't regret it, but yeah, so that's Toby. So next we have Aaron the Greninja. Now, Greninja, I wasn't originally planning on getting Greninja at this point. I was planning on getting something else that I drafted later on through the draft, but I was looking at my team and I'm like, okay, so the only form of hazards I have right now is Stealth Rocks and Necrozma. I want a Spiker, and I also want a T-Spiker, but I want something above all that that has a nice speed tier that's above Mega-Kangaskhan and can put in the work however I want it, you know, with like Focus Sash or Priority even. So I was like, okay, Greninja, your time to shine is now. So I drafted Greninja, and unfortunately in this league, you can only use the ability Torrent. If you could get Protean or Battle Bond, I'm sure this thing would have gone turn 1 in the draft, but that's not the case. But still, Greninja is quite an effective Pokemon, and I'm pretty glad I got my chance to draft it. So it has all this nice coverage moves. As I said, you know, it gets access to spikes, it gets access to toxic spikes, it gets access to Scald, of course, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, a bunch of different coverage moves. Its defenses aren't the best, but its defenses, as I said, aren't the best, but I mean, I don't know. Every time I've drafted this in League, it's always put in work, and it's always done something for me, so I figured, you know, this League's important. Let's see if it can do something for me once again. So that's why I drafted Greninja, and also needed a Water type at this point, but I planned on getting something that would fulfill that role later on, so this wasn't that big of a deal, but yeah. So next mon, as I draft, was the Hawlucha. Now, I was kind of surprised it took this long to get picked up, but I wanted Hawlucha because, one, I didn't want the guy who got Tapu Koko to have it, and two, it could be a nice pair with TapaBOO, with the Unburden and the Grassy Seed. 1 second, Grassy Seed. Yep. See, if the terrain is grassy terrain, it raises the holder's defense by 1 stage. So I figured, you know, that could be helpful to have as, you know, a backup sweeper just in case something goes wrong. But yeah, so that's one of the main reasons why I drafted Hawlucha. Another reason is it gets defog. I know I don't foresee myself using defog too often, but yet you never know. It's draft format, right? Also, it gets nice utility in U-turn, poison jab even for fairy types, high jump kick. Yeah, so it gets pretty much all this nice coverage. Unfortunately, its best flying stab is acrobatics, but again with the Unburden set that works out just fine. And yeah, those are the reasons why I pretty much drafted these 6. Now the other 5 I decided to draft, as you can see right now, is they kind of cover up and pick up the slack of the others. As I said earlier, I had another water type in mind besides Greninja, and I also was hoping on getting it, which was Empoleon, of course. Gives me another Stealth Rocker, gives me a Defiant Mon if I choose to use it, gives me another Defogger, of course, and more importantly, it gives me a special wall. So 101 Spadef may not seem that decent, but with Empoleon's typing of water and steel, it's greatly beneficial to my team. I need something to kind of fill this role and help out Necrozma should I choose to use it as some kind of wall. But yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Also gets access to priority, although I didn't really need priority at that point, like Aqua Jet. Funnily enough, also gets knockoff on its own. The classic Scald, Stealth Rock, stuff like that. So that's why Phyllis is on the team, and yeah, I could also see this thing putting in a lot of work. But yeah, that's pretty much why I drafted Phyllis. Next is Jim, the Nidoking. Now, originally, I did not plan on drafting this, but because someone sniped Kyurem from me, I'm not naming names or anything, but someone in Trick of Eye sniped Kyurem from me. Snaked it, in fact. But because he did that, I pretty much had to scramble and change pretty much the last 4 or 5 mons on my team that I wanted. So Nidoking was one of them, and Nidoking, as I'm sure most of you know, is a very decent wall breaker due to sheer force and life orb. Although special attack may not resemble it, it does hit incredibly hard with the sheer force life orb. Also gives me a Stealth Rocker, right? And at this point I was like, okay, I think now I have enough Stealth Rockers on my team. But yeah, so it also gives me Toxic Spikes, has great coverages, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, and also, Earth Power and, Sludge Wave. Could be run as an effective Sash Lead or, Life Orb or Scarf and whatever. You can run a number of things with it, and also can be physical, which is something I like in a Mon, where it has that versatility to do things that people normally wouldn't expect, but get a surprise amount of credibility from them. Like I said, most people don't really use the physical set, although it has a higher attack stat. That's mainly because of sheer force, but in the right circumstance, that might be the set to run. So that's why I chose Nidoking Jim over here, and definitely hoping he's not going to disappoint. So the next one I chose is Ryan the Ditto. That should never be limber. So Ditto has pretty much one effective set, and that is Choice Scarf Ditto. Now, the reason I drafted Ditto was, as always, as anyone drafts it, is to scare opponents from setting up and to get counter sweeps going. So, for example, let's say I'm facing Charizard X. It's at +2 or plus however much, speed and attack from Dragon Dance, and it swept through one thing on my team. Well, I could send in Ditto with a Choice Scarf after. It'll outspeed and get the kill and potentially sweep his team. So that's pretty much why I drafted Ditto. That's why anyone drafts Ditto. Not sure how often I'll bring it. It was mostly chosen for the scare factor in my opponents, but regardless, may bring it, may not. We'll see how that goes. So the next mon I decided to get was Angela the Turtonator. Now, our elusive third member, who will remain nameless, has quite the affinity for good old Turtonator here, and reason why, it gets access to Shell Smash, right? And at this point, I needed a fire type and I needed a ground type, both of which I didn't have. I didn't have the dragon type due to Kirim getting sniped from me, and I didn't have the fire type because I was planning on saving that for my last pick, which would have replaced Electrode, but that was not the case this time. So Turtonator has, it's an interesting dragon to say the least. It has very good defense stat despite its poor typing. Special attack is okay. Spidef is also okay. 36 speed. Its speed is a bit pitiful, but another reason why I felt the need to choose this was it also extends the speed tier I already have. It gave me something slow, so people might run enough speed to outspeed this now instead of just not running any speed anymore. That might, change their stat distribution is something in my favor, assuming I didn't bring it and things like that. Shell Smash also gives it very decent setup. Draco Meteor, Earthquake Endeavor, Explosion even. Yeah, it gets a bunch of interesting, viable moves that potentially I could bring, but I'm not sure if I will. At this point, I didn't have a Shell Smash Mon, so I figured why not get that along with some typing I desperately need. So yeah, that's why Angela is on the team. So next one is last but not least is the Michael Scott, although I'm just calling him Michael. Electrode over here, and looking at this Mon, at first glance I was like, okay, I need an Electrode type. I want a fast Electrode type. There's not that many good left, especially because I could only choose from one of the lowest tiers at this point. And Electrode comes up, and I'm like, alright, well, this thing can't hit hard to save its life, but it does do something that I could definitely appreciate, and that is be one of the fastest mons in the game. So I figured, hey, I just need a pivot. I don't need something exceptionally strong, and something incredibly fast, something faster than Mecha Beedrill, could be useful, right? And I'm hoping I'm right? So this thing has access to semi-decent abilities in Aftermath and Static and even Soundproof. Maybe switch that in on like X-Cloud or something. But it can also be used as something like utility, such as like Reflect, Light Screen, Volt Switch, stuff like that, right? And yeah, I know it's not the best electric type one can get, but I really wanted something incredibly fast, and this was still there. So I'm like, you know what, Electrode, Michael Scott, welcome to the club, right? So yeah, that concludes my draft analysis. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for some Hive Beedrill Season 3 matches. Bye.